Toronto. The veteran transit executive from Toronto hired to run New York City's subway said he was considering a series of aggressive steps to shore up the city's faltering system, including shutting down lines for long periods of work with the goal of modernizing the system in years, not decades. Andy Byford, the chief executive of the Toronto Transit Commission, also said he would scrutinize how the subway spends money and consider overhauling senior management, and suggested that congestion pricing, charging fees to drive into the most crowded parts of Manhattan as a way to raise money for transit was a worthy idea. But it is Mr. Byford's openness to shutting down subway lines that is sure to attract attention and condemnation in a city where a 24-hour subway system is considered sacrosanct. Mr. Byford stressed that real progress would require hard choices. The only way to do that is to get in the tunnels and do the work, and you cannot do that when trains are running, period, Mr. Byford said in a wide-ranging interview between meetings during his waning days in Toronto. If we're really serious, we have to bite the bullet and to a certain extent inconvenience people while we get the work done, but I will hold myself accountable to New Yorkers to say it will be worth the pain. Mr. Byford, 52, who arrives in New York next month, seems willing to ruffle feathers in taking on one of the world's most difficult transportation jobs, overseeing a sprawling and antiquated system that has suffered years of political neglect and whose millions of riders have grown skeptical that new leadership will yield any real improvement. Gov. Andrew M. Cuomo, who controls the subway, minced no words when he met with Mr. Byford after his final job interview. Aging infrastructure, overcrowding, track and signal problems, limited funding and a critical public. Are you up for that? Mr. Cuomo asked. To Mr. Byford the message was clear: this is no place for wallflowers. While Toronto's system is far smaller, those seeking a guide to what Mr. Byford might do in New York can look to his playbook. Here he shut down the subway on weekends to repair switches and tracks and lay the groundwork for new signals. In New York, officials already plan a 15-month shutdown of the tunnel that carries the L line between Brooklyn and Manhattan, and a shorter closing, 5 days, is scheduled this month for another tunnel that carries the E and the M lines between Queens and Manhattan. Mr. Byford also focused on quick wins like cleaning subways, renovating bathrooms, creating rider-friendly signage and pushing train operators to make announcements about delays. He also took on the transit union over contracting out garbage collection and other services and instituting one-person train operations. The system he inherited was rife with problems familiar to New Yorkers: constant delays, poor maintenance, aging equipment and a dim public image. Fares went up and service did not improve, ticket monitors fell asleep in the booths, there were no announcements when the train stopped in the tunnel and you didn't know if you were waiting 5 minutes or 20 minutes for a train, said Karen Stintz, a former Toronto City Councillor who served as chairwoman of the Toronto Transit Commission from 2010 to 2014. In Mr.